I figured I'd start off with an introduction of who you are, owner and operator of New Home Steps, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, perfect. Can you tell me a little bit about what your company does?
Absolutely. We work with customers to help them get their scores above 640 so they can get back out there in the big bad world and get approved for cars and houses and lines of credit. And one other little tidbit of information about the 640 is once you reach that pinnacle, once you get that score, each month thereafter, as long as you're doing your job and keeping your payments made on time and not letting your balances, I heard it all because the connection was a little itchy there for a second. The number of credit cards you want to have is 3, no less, no more. That's the magic number. The balance on the cards would be 30% or less. Ideally 0. That's hard to achieve on a regular basis. But if you can do that and you can maintain that for a couple years, you actually end up in the 800 credit score. If all you had was 3 credit cards to your name and nothing else, and you kept the balances at 0 for 2 years, you'll be in the 800s.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that little snippet. So, have you seen a high demand for your services?
Yes, each year business keeps increasing. More people are becoming to where they want to buy homes, and yeah, it's exciting. I love what I do. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Yeah,
All right. How about the interest
other than real
rate?
estate.
How about the interest rate? Can your interest rate be affected by your credit score?
Um, it's such a good question. I was reading an article the other day, just a day or two ago, about lenders considering you at what's called subprime, where you kind of get branded for having a score below 640. The rates are horrible. So once you get above 640, the rates start dropping.
This is kind of a question here on the spot, but with that, the scores below 640, what is the average mortgage rate you see them get?
Well, unfortunately, I don't see as much of that side because I'm not in the mortgage business. I just know from years helping customers get to 640 or higher, they get the advertised rates that banks are offering, which right now is mid twos on a 30 year. So that's a really good question, Rosie. I just don't help people get to that. When we're crossing a threshold, it's never below 640. So I don't know what that rate would be.
Okay.
And now on vehicles, it's horrible. It's in the high teens and the 20s.
Yeah, I've seen that. And with a house, if you're in even a couple points higher on that mortgage rate, you're spending thousands of dollars more for that same home. So, what is about the average time it takes for your customers to
Yes, ma'am.
boost their credit score?
Great, another great question. Within the first 60 days, we normally see a really good increase of any 30 to 50 points. Everything works in little cycles with the credit bureaus. So one might get 14 points, next month you might only get 5 points, the next month you might get 30 points. So I'm going to phrase answer for your question and just say that within 6 to 8 months, if someone is in the mid to high 500s, we can typically have them above 640 within that time frame.
Perfect.
So
yeah. Another question, if you could give any piece of advice for someone who's looking to buy a home, what would it be?
oh my goodness, wow. Any piece of advice for someone that's looking to home? I guess I've really got to think on that because most people that I've dealt with are first-time homers. So I would tell them to first get approved, get their pre-approved way. That way they've got a license to shop. They're not going to waste their time or anyone else's. Everyone's going to know that they mean business, that they buy. So getting through their little loan process of getting pre-approved would be number one. Number two would be getting a fantastic realtor that hopefully someone they know knows. Like, to them, or they can check references and have that trust built from the get-go. Really, that in the market has such a low inventory right now. I would tell them to be prepared to on whatever they fall in love with, because it's going to get gone quick.
Yes, our inventory here in Cheyenne is quite low in itself. So buyers are scrambling to find something. Absolutely. Definitely a seller's market. Well, that's all the questions I had for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate you doing this interview. Again, Jason Black from First Home Steps. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, Rosie.